New York Governor Kathy Hochul has declared a state of emergency in several counties in anticipation of heavy snowfall. And unseasonable cold also returned Thursday to the upper Midwest. Heavy lake-effect snow is expected through Thursday in parts of Michigan. Some parts of the upper Midwest saw wind chills of more than 20 below early Thursday.
The collapse of Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria has finally dispelled the myth of Russia as a great power. Its influence in the world is rapidly declining. This threatens Russian dictator Vladimir Putin with big problems. This statement was made by the famous Russian Z propagandist Lev Vershinin. The Russian patriot considers the loss of Syria a disaster for Russia. According to him, the current events have demonstrated Moscow's dependence on Turkey. Russia is not a great power. It is quickly losing its status even as a regional power. It is scary in a political sense that we have seen with our own eyes that Mr. Erdogan has levers of control over Russia. If anything, he can easily close the straits. Moscow is afraid of Ankara. Moscow is weaker than Ankara. Erdogan will soon lay claim to control over other areas of the Black Sea region in which he is interested. And Moscow has no methods against it. Syria has shown this. Vershinin said. He also predicted for Putin the same collapse of his regime that happened in Syria. The propagandist believes that the Russian dictator will be betrayed by his inner circle. This is the most terrible lesson in Syria. Why? Okay, huge amounts of money have been spent. Something has been stolen. Something has been spent. Okay, the enemy has the latest weapons. Okay, a whole bunch of projects have been ruined. We are not a great power. Forget it. A terrible lesson has been learned. The Syrian regime is in many ways copying the Russian regime, and it is a great pity that Putin does not understand that it is his close associates who will set him up, saying in unison that he said that he is the only one responsible, stated the Z Patriot. Recently, media learned about the Kremlin's preparations for the loss of military bases in Syria. The fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria has been a geopolitical catastrophe for Russia. Moscow will most likely have to say goodbye to its only foreign naval base, Tartus, and not only that. The Russian top leadership is in a defeatist mood on this matter. The Moscow Times reports this, citing two anonymous sources in the Russian diplomatic agencies. With Assad, Russia's influence in the Middle East has collapsed. The Tartus and Khmeimim military bases, in which billions of dollars have been invested over the past 9 years, will likely be lost. Just a few years ago, the Russian military contingent in Syria numbered tens of thousands of soldiers and hundreds of units of military equipment. Today, the Russian group in the country has been greatly reduced. The military is blocked in its deployment areas, hoping for a quick evacuation. It is reported that Russia is negotiating with the Syrian opposition, Turkey, Washington, and other countries through diplomatic channels, threatening significant military efforts in the event of attempts to destroy its Syrian group. However, it will most likely not be possible to maintain a military presence, which in turn threatens Russia with the loss of Africa.
An American who turned up in Syria on Thursday says he was detained after crossing into the country by foot on a Christian pilgrimage 7 months ago. Travis Timmerman appears to have been among thousands of people released from the country's notorious prisons after rebels reached Damascus over the weekend, overthrowing President Bashar Assad and ending his family's 54-year rule. As video emerged online of Timmerman on Thursday, he was initially mistaken by some for Austin Tice, an American journalist who went missing in Syria 12 years ago. In the video, Timmerman could be seen lying on a mattress under a blanket in what appeared to be a private house. A group of men in the video said he was being treated well and would be safely returned home. There was no immediate comment from U.S. officials traveling with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Aqaba, Jordan. Timmerman later gave an interview with the Al Arabiya TV network, saying he had illegally crossed into Syria, on foot from the eastern Lebanese town of Zal 7 months ago, before being detained. He said he was treated well in detention but could hear other young men being tortured. The U.S. government's top hostage negotiator, Roger Carstens, traveled to Lebanon earlier this week in hopes of collecting information on the whereabouts of Tice. President Joe Biden has said his administration believed Tice was alive and was committed to bringing him home, though he also acknowledged on Sunday that, "We have no direct evidence of his status." Tice, who has had his work published by the Washington Post, McClatchy newspapers and others, disappeared at a checkpoint in a contested area west of Damascus in August 2012 as the Syrian civil war intensified. A video released weeks after Tice went missing showed him blindfolded and held by armed men. He has not been heard from since. Assad's government had denied that it was holding him.
Travis Timmerman, we're very glad and happy. We're pleased to see you released. How did that happen? How were you imprisoned?
I was imprisoned in a cell by myself, and in the early morning of this Monday, or the Monday of this week, they took a hammer and they broke my door down.
Mm-hmm. How did they treat you in the prison?
Well, the armed men just wanted to get me out of my cell, and then really the man who I stuck with was a Syrian man named Eli, who was also a prisoner that was just freed. And he took me by the side, by the arm really, and he and a young woman that lives in Damascus, and us three exited the prison together. And there was a large group of women, and it was us. There was few male prisoners.
Do you want to drink tea?
I'm okay for now.
Did they used to give you tea in the prison?
No tea.
No tea. What were you allowed to have in the prison?
I had water, bread, cabbage.
الماء والخبز
لكن يا أخي كانوا عندي بالبيت.
That's all what they allowed you to eat in the prison.
There was more. There's more than that. Jubna, mudba.
So you speak some Arabic. That's good.
Khalil.
Did you hear the voices of torture for Syrians in the prisons?
Yes, I could hear the interrogations and the beatings.
كان يسمع